The federal government has announced that train services on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line are set to return this month. Muazu Sambo, Minister of Transportation, made the announcement on Monday in Abuja while giving the scorecard of his ministry. Recall that train service along the route was shut down following a terrorist attack on the train and its passengers on March 28. According to Sambo, adequate security has been put in place to ensure the safety of the passengers. The minister, however, did not give the exact date for the resumption of the train services.
The President commissioned the Deep Blue project in June 2021, and we are proud today to inform Nigeria and indeed the world that since the commissioning took place, there hasn't been a single reported case of piracy in Nigeria's exclusive economic zone.
Well, that was Muazu Sambo, Minister of Transportation, and his counterpart in the Information Ministry, Lai Mohammed. Another important story trending today is that Nigerians were spectators to the presidential town hall series organized by the Arise Media Group in collaboration with the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, ahead of the 2023 elections. Candidates were invited to tell Nigerians what they have in store for them with regards to security and economy, among others. However, the event, which was held at Transcorp Hilton here in Abuja, had quite a number of interesting highlights, starting with the People's Democratic Party, whose vice presidential candidate Ifeanyi Okowa was almost shouted off the stage as outraged spectators maintained that the debate was meant for presidential candidates and not their running mates.
We don't want we want presidential candidate. That's what we want. We want presidential candidate.
It was quite interesting because way into the debate, candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his counterpart in NNPP, Rabi Musa Konkoso, were given a rude awakening when they were reminded that they were once members of the PDP, which they had initially touted as performing poorly in its 16 years as the ruling party. Take a look at this.
I'm aware that the PDP is strong in all the 6 geopolitical zones, very strong, and strong in all states. That is a statement of fact, and we are busy campaigning to Nigerians based on our manifesto and the credibility of the persons who are on the ticket of the party. Secondly, as of the last time I checked, in 2019, I'm sure, Peter Obi was vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar. He said he paid a lot of glowing tributes to Atiku Abubakar. And as of the last time I checked, up to May 24th, 2022, he was still an aspirant under the PDP. So he cannot claim to be strange to the PDP or strange to the past. It is wrong to present that kind of situation to Nigerians. I think it's important that we begin to address issues the way they were. As for my brother, Dr. Rabi Kwakwanso, I thank you for your comments. But as at the last time that I checked, apart from little issues that we're having in Kano, you are still in the PDP and a leader of the PDP. And you have been part of the PDP. Are you now telling Nigerians that you contributed to the destruction that you claim is happening in this nation? Too many good things came in from the PDP. 1999 to 2007. Let's take note of that. It's important that we educate Nigerians.
You see, Nigerians are not really allowing themselves to be taken for a ride these days. Some people, they condemned the party and then they were given back because questions were asked on when they left the ruling party now to castigate it. And also there was a sort of an encounter between Peter Obi and the spokesperson of Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign, Dino Melai.
Very quickly,
just call everybody. This man is NPP now. He called it to Obi people. You see what is happening here? I won't take this. He called it to Obi people. This colonel is NPP person now. You call it to Obi people. Stop that, please, Dino. You did, Dino. Stop that. I'm taking a lot from you here. What is what? Why are you always calling me?
Welcome back. We have in the studio Hidayat Hassan of CDD, co-organizers of the presidential town hall meeting by Arise TV, and Jide Ojo, a public analyst. I will start with you. What was the motivation behind the debate?
I think really for us at the CDD, since 2015, we've worked on issue-based politics. And we are not new to this. And I'll say that in 2015, the CDD platform was the only platform graced by the PDP and the APC in the prelude to the 2015 elections, where we had issues debates based on issues. And in 2019, we continued with this, making it more of a discussion than a debate, where people can actually tell us what their policy ideas really are. And no time is become so much important and imperative to have this debate than the 2023 elections, which is even much more a big idea-headed one, where you have the role religion and ethnicity are playing, that it's playing a too much oversized role. And as usual, we will not get the opportunity to listen to these candidates on their policy ideas. And at the end, it becomes very difficult to hold them to account.
Yeah.
I will personally say, not even as CDD, but as a diet, that being at that town hall yesterday, listening to the candidate, even gave me a sort of hope.
Okay.
In the country. And they are in the country. One, while we saw what the minor skirmishes are, it was also a positive that for once citizens are asking,
like the spectators say, and other candidates saying, why not Atiku? Why Okowa?
And I'm sure that is sending a strong message to the political actors that they can no longer take the citizens for granted. So this is not just about the politics of it. This is not really just talking about the fact that it's some supporters of a particular party that are actually pushing for it. What is important is that Nigerians are saying that we want you as the candidate to face us. That's the first one. Then the second one was that there were lots of revolutions, just like you find the US elections, where you have British elections, and you see that debates are important. For once, we were able to interrogate the policy direction of these people, and we had the opportunity to ask very critical questions, and even to fact-check them on those platforms. And I think this brought a change again to what we have been experiencing. It has again heightened the stakes. If you look at what has happened in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, the discussion around the
discussion right now, many both on Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, multiple discussions are going on as it relates to this debate. So Nigerians, in spite of polarization, are discussing something that is really different, and they've also gotten the opportunity to speak and listen to other people whom they would not have had the opportunity to.
Yes, thank you. Jide, I want you to come in here. What is your impression about the debate? Because there are allegations that CDD, Arise, and others, they organize that to maybe bring out some candidates. The outcome, is it different from what was being insinuated? And is really debate becoming part and parcel of our democratic process?
Okay. First and foremost, I must commend Arise TV, CDD, Daily Trust, Leadership, and all those who partner to make yesterday a successful event. We have come to a stage in the life of this country where we can no longer leave politicians to play their politics on their own terms and by their own rules. There are rules of engagement, and in civilized society, debates are taken very serious.
Okay.
Midterm election is happening tomorrow in US. You could see the build-up. Former presidents are on the soapbox trying to woo voters for their candidates. so that it's about who takes control of the Senate and Congress of US.
Because of its importance.
Because of its importance. And today, Nigerians are also asking that, look, it's not going to be business as usual. You are not going to just run away with dumping us documents and say, this is my covenant with you people. Go and read it. No, this is not an headmaster and pupils. This is not principal and student. This is not a lecturer and the class. Now you have you have set up a think tank. You have put together policy document. We need to interrogate. We need you to speak to those documents. And about whether a culture of debate is now evolving, it has evolved. Okay. I recall that Nigeria Election Debate Group, NEDG, had been since 1999 or thereabout, and in fact has been exported to other African countries that they have also helped to organize political debates. Yeah. Now, what this just did, what CDD in partnership with some media houses are doing, is just to add value to this. Because if you organize a rally, the very likelihood is that 90% of those who attend the rallies are your party men and women and your loyalists. So you don't have opportunity to raise your hand and say, I need to fact check you on this, or I need to interrogate you on this. It's a rally. They bring in musicians, they dance for most part, they throw jibes at one another, they exchange banters, and everybody goes back.
Not unlike debates.
Unlike debates where serious issue. Did you see any bandstand yesterday? No. It's about seriousness. Nigeria is at the precipice. And if you want to pull it back, these are the people, one of whom would be the next president of Nigeria.
In an exclusive interview granted to Daily Trust newspaper by the chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdurrashid Bawa, he revealed that 3 serving state governors are being monitored over moves to launder looted billions of naira through table payment of salaries to workers in their respective states. This follows plans by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to redesign higher denomination of the naira currency from 200 through to 1,000 naira notes. The move by the Nigeria's Apex Bank has also led to what experts describe as temporary shocks and artificial scarcity of dollars, leading to an astronomical rise in its value, with the naira at an all-time low. Although the Minister of Finance had explained that her ministry was not carried along in the move, President Muhammadu Buhari also in a recent interview had maintained that the CBN governor had his express approval to go ahead with the redesign. He also spoke on other issues including security, agriculture, and achieving food sufficiency in the country. Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. Today, we are joined on the program by Professor Usman Yusuf. He is the former Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS. Together, we'll be discussing the issues around the state of the nation, naira redesign, the position of the president on the issue, among other matters. Always pleasure to have you, Prof.
Thank you very much for
Welcome to Daily Trust.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a short break, and when we return, the discussion of the day commences. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics, and today we have Professor Usman Yusuf in the studio. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. You served under the Buhari administration as Executive Secretary of NHIS, so you are an insider. This is how I would describe you today, even if it is remotely. Yes. So what are your thoughts of the plan to redesign the Naira?
I mean, nobody can tell you what they are doing because they haven't talked to Nigerians. At least in 1984,
yes,
when this same president, when he was the head of state, when he redesigned the Naira, it was discussed at the Supreme Military Council. But here, it's only him and the governor of Central Bank. Not even the Minister of Finance was in on it. So just the two of them doing things in a democratic setting. The Minister of Finance came out and said she wasn't consulted. So how can you do something when the monetary and the physical component don't talk to each other?
You think there is a disconnect?
There are big disconnect. There has always been. Remember at one time the Ministry of Finance, they wanted to remove fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
And then the Senate president went to the president, and the president said he didn't give anybody permission to do that. And they aborted. So there is a disconnect. When you have the monetary and the physical arm of our economy, they are not talking, they were in trouble. Everybody is just doing its own as if they're just drowning. Nobody is talking to Nigerians, they are not even talking to themselves. Well, then the governor of Central Bank came out and said, well, this was what they want to do. The president said in that Hausa interview, he told him in October, that was last month, and gave him a lot of reasons, and he gave him the go-ahead. He didn't have the courtesy to consult the economic team. The governor of the central bank, neither the governor of the central bank nor the president have the pulse of the nation. I took the liberty of listening to the views of traders in Bakori, in Charanchi, in Katsina, in Kano, in Kaduna, in Nguru.
Was this after the announcement?
After all of this.
But before we get to that
Right.
pulse,
Okay.
I read it somewhere that in 1984, it was also just between the president and the CBN governor, and he warned the CBN governor not to even tell Idiagbo at that time. I don't know how true is that.
I don't know, and I'm not privy to that. And I don't think in a military regime at that time they are equals. I don't think they would let him do things on his own.
Arbitrarily.
Absolutely not. Not even in a military administration. Here is a democracy, and you're not consulting widely. You're staying in Abuja, making these decisions that will impact the lives of 200 million Nigerians. Who do you talk to? It's not the people in Abuja. Go down to the hinterland and see how it will affect our people. And that's why I'm here. It's not the economics, all the numbers. No, I do not see any consideration of how it will affect our people. What I see is them thinking, oh, there are people having money stashed in their houses and we go get them. The United States of America and all the Western world, they have a lot more stolen money.
They have more?
Absolutely. The United States, you have drug dealers that have billions. Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely. All this money that our politicians here steal and launder to the United Kingdom, they're all illicit money. Do these governments change their currency just to punish these people?
You're talking about the UK, US.
Absolutely. And all the Western world. Switzerland and all these other places, all the money, they didn't make the money.
They have money also.
It is money from all this illicit money from our
But I think such monies get their ways to the mainstream, to the system.
They know it's not mainstream. They know it's blood money. They know it's dark money. They know. Drug money gets into the system in the United States and they change their currency regularly. Nobody even knows. Just to protect the security of the currency, and they see a lot of counterfeit. But they are on top of it always. The big question to the central bank governor is if the purpose of this, what he's told Nigerians is there is a lot of money in there that is not in the financial system. Hello, Mr. Governor, you've been a governor for 7 years. Whose fault is it? You are supposed to shepherd the monetary aspect of this country. What have you done?
So it's like you are taking the blame back to the CBN
Absolutely.
governor now
The CBN
for not sanitizing
Not only
the,
that.
the release and circulation of the currency.
The CBN governor, he is given the responsibility to manage our monetary system. What rate did he find the dollar? The dollar was at $1 per 167 naira.
167.
Today is 800. What rate is inflation today? October, 21.3. So, Mr. Governor, this is a sign of failure as a governor.
Are you saying it's an escapist approach, this initiative?
No. It's just voodoo economics. Voodoo. This has nothing to do with, is it going to tame inflation?
It's one of the
I'm
reasons
asking,
he gave.
Is it going to tame inflation? Is it going to bolster the naira?
He said all this.
Is it going to improve the economy?
He said this.
It won't. I'll tell you why.
Okay, why?
Number one, economy. All right, you get money from people that are hiding it in their sewers or in their overhead tank. They're not using it, right? Number one, nobody is benefiting from it. Inflation is already 21.3. The economy can never improve if you do not have major drivers to the economy. What are the drivers? You don't have industries. You're not manufacturing anything. There is corruption. Electricity is a problem. You can do whatever you want with your naira if you do not. And the money supply, total money supply is directly proportional to the inflation. If you're producing a lot more naira than the economy is producing goods or services, you will have inflation. So you don't have these drivers to drive the economy. I'm not an economist, but our scripture says, ask those who know. And I've asked a lot of people.
Okay, to arrive at what you are talking about
I'm not talking out of this thing. I'm talking from knowledge of people that I know. I ask people, and one of the best write-ups I've seen about this is from a gentleman called Dr. Nasir Aminu. He's a Nigerian academic at Cardiff Metropolitan University. Beautiful, very simple. For you and I that are not
He reduced the statistics
absolutely to the basics,
Yeah.
and that is how life should be. Don't come and tell us as a governor of Central Bank, be talking, we don't understand what you're saying. You're not relating to us, just like our politicians are not connected to us. They are disconnected. So you're going to punish the 3 or 4 or 10 governors that have stolen under your watch. And then everybody else will go down the drain because of them.
But don't you think, Prof, that the president agreed with the CBN governor? Because most likely if he tells other stakeholders like the National Assembly, like the finance minister and all that, they will find a way of saying this is not the right time?
No. And they don't have to give, they are not the ones to give him approval.
Who should then give?
It's the president that should give him approval.
But what I'm talking about the president now.
Yeah.
He gave him the approval. Is it that the president was arbitrary in giving the approval without consultations? The campaign trail of presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, was in Maiduguri today for a mega rally to woo Borno indigents for their votes in the 2023 general elections. Unfortunately, the convoy of the former vice president was allegedly attacked by suspected thugs on their way to the palace of the Shehu of Borno. According to Dino Malai, who is one of the spokespersons of the Atiku presidential campaign, over 70 persons sustained various degrees of injuries and many vehicles damaged. He alleged that the assailants are supporters of the All Progressives Congress, trying to prevent opposition parties' campaign from happening. However, both the Borno State government, the APC, and the State Police Command have denied any attack on Atiku's convoy. And this contradicts the statement from the Atiku Media Office, which says the convoy was actually attacked. Still talking politics, in the Northeast, aggrieved governors of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, popularly called the G5, and led by Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike were in Bauchi State on a courtesy call, reportedly to convince Governor Bala Mohammed to join their campaign against the presidential candidate of their party, Atiku Abubakar. Recall that the Bauchi governor had, in a letter to the national chairman of the PDP, Senator Yoche Ayu, accused Atiku Abubakar of sidelining him following the outcome of the party's presidential primaries and also working against his second-term governorship bid in the state. Viewers, welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. And as usual, I am your anchor, Hamza Idris. Tonight on the program, we are joined by Dr. Abubakar Kari. He is an associate professor of political sociology at the University of Abuja. We are also joined by the Deputy National Youth Leader of the People's Democratic Party, Tim Osadolo. Together, we'll be looking at the emerging issues in the PDP as well as other happenings in the political space. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Thank you,
Hamza,
for having
Yes,
me.
today I appeared, heavily pregnant with many political stories. And maybe I should start with you, the youth leader. How true is it that your campaign train was attacked in Borno?
Well, it's as true can be. Facts facts remain the facts. Pictures don't lie. Videos don't lie. Even in the age where things seems to be doctored, witnesses are there. People are seeing the hospital. What happened today in Borno is a referendum on the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and his party, and a referendum on the integrity of the governor, who is the chief security officer of Borno State, who before today people have perceived to be a refined gentleman. But I never knew that political affiliations and colorations could becloud his better sense of judgment.
No, why taking the blame to the governor? Is
the chief security officer of the state. It's not enough to take all the positive accolades when things happen positively. When things go wrong, he should also be man enough to allow the buck stop on his table. Today, what happened today was a state-managed incident. No person could have come out to attack a presidential campaign convoy if it's not having the backing of the state.
Dr. Kari, I want you to come in here because I can see that the youth leader is actually taking the blame to the APC ruling government in Borno.
Well, I think it's a developing story. We have heard from the alleged victims and the alleged assailants and from the police. For me, I think it is only in the coming days that what actually transpired will be very, very clear. So at this point, I think it is premature really to begin to apportion blame or to even accept the story. But the major thing is that if it indeed happened, then it is unfortunate. Because so far, electioneering in the build-up to 2023 election has been relatively peaceful. And we thought it would remain peaceful. And in spite of the Boko Haram problem, I think for a very long time, Borno State has actually remained quite peaceful, particularly in terms of electioneering. I think since the days 2007, when there was a serious tussle, when the former governor Ali Modishiru was going. Thereafter, the state has remained relatively peaceful. So I know, So I know the two parties will continue to tread blame. I wouldn't want to be joined it. I would rather be absolutely sure about what happened.
Yes, Mr. Timothy, the figures we got, around 74 people hospitalized, over 100 vehicles. How did you arrive at that?
Well, I want to use one of the words that the Prof used, though he tried to be here and there. He's a gentleman, he doesn't want to seem to be taking sides.
He's not a politician.
He's not a politician too.
Yes.
So you cannot fault his position. But I want to borrow a word from him. It's a developing story.
Yes.
Good. But what I take from that developing story is that the figures and the casualties may even still be more. It is those that we were able to ascertain as at this minute that have been declared. Because you needed to be there. It was the grace of God that saw it through, that lives have not been lost.
Yes.
If those at the hospital now, nobody can say what will happen. It's only God that gives and protects lives.
Yes.
So we can only have those in the hospital bed in our thoughts and in our prayers, and hope that they get home back safely. But the truth is that it is unnecessarily what happened today. What happened today, we have signed peace accord for these elections. We have said as gentlemen, let's have a refined democratic process. Now, if we have this kind of thing happening in one state, don't forget, sir, today it's Borno, maybe the APC has claims,
Majority,
has claims to majority, but we have not taken that claim to the ballots. We will take that claim to the ballots come February and March next year.
Anyway, they have been winning for a long time.
Yes, that is why they are not scared now. They have not had a candidate so powerful. That's why, like process is 2070 dates. It has been a free ride for them. But now people are awake, not necessarily because the state government or the local politicians are not doing well, but because the face of the government that they see, as represented by the presidency, affects the everyday lives of the common man.
Yeah.
And they feel the brunt and the weight, and they know that these things can be done differently. And they are seeing a candidate that can actually do things differently and that can actually unify everyone across board.
Yeah.
So it is getting to them, and they are becoming jittery. It's a panic mode that they were triggered into, that triggered this attack today. But let me tell you the danger of what they have done. They have forgotten that Borno is just one state out of 36 states of the Federal Republic, including the FCT. Now, what happens when you come to a state like Edo, that is PDP? Or you go to a state like Rivers or Delta, or even Abuja here, that is PDP.
Yeah.
Are you not saying their candidates will not be safe?
They should be safe. Doctor,
so
and I want you to come in here
we must
because
condemn this kind of attack.
yeah, some people have started making comparison with what happened to the same PDP rally in Kaduna a few weeks ago when they were actually attacked. And people are started complaining that, is this the trend? Is this how campaigns will continue when people go to a state after taking clearance from police operatives and other security agencies, then you suddenly see talks taking over?
Yeah, I think the optics are actually not good. I don't like trends or negative episodes taking some kind of pattern. This pattern does not bode well for the 2023 elections generally. We thought, and I really still believe, that to a substantial extent we have been able to address the problem of violence in electioneering. Because attacking convoys, attacking rallies and campaign events, for me, will never do anything apart from creating problem for the assailant themselves, whoever they are. So the most important thing is for all the stakeholders, as Mr. Timothy alluded to remember that they freely enter into a pact, into a pact of peace, that they will conduct themselves very well. But it is also a big challenge for security agents to try to arrest the situation, which I believe they can, particularly given the fact that the thing has started taking a pattern. They should make adequate preparation, adequate deployment to guarantee the safety of all participants in election campaigns and rallies, and probably also make examples by successfully processing all those arrested trying to disrupt the peaceful electoral process. It is very, very important.
Welcome back. In today's program, we have Reverend Okoti, who joins us via Zoom from Lagos. We are happy having you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Yes, I will start by asking you this simple question. Why are you not on the ballot for the 2023 elections?
Well, I've made it abundantly clear that I'm not seeking to have a political career with a view to some sense of self-aggrandizement, because that would take us nowhere. I've often said that the whole political concept that we have applied in this democratic transition is faulty at initial, and therefore the platform that I've stood upon to ventilate and articulate this concept are just going to provide the tribune for me to make the necessary contribution so that we can strengthen our nation within the challenges of the 21st century. I do not believe that the forthcoming election will give any dividend to democracy. I do not think that it will change the status quo. I think that it's becoming security and the
Yes, Reverend, and has anything changed between the time you were vying for election? Because I remember you vied for the presidency in 2003. You did it again in 2007. You were on the ballot in 2011. Has anything changed between then and now?
In terms of the political climate.
Yes.
What I have is that this journey has continued, and if you observe the trajectory of our political system, you will discover that it takes us nowhere. The APC and the PDP, that are the dominant political parties, have continued to engender a status quo that is inimical and subversive to the Nigerian cause. And therefore, if we are saying that we want peace, harmony, and a certain collective commonality that would engender unity in our nation, we must try another system. That is why I'm asking for an interim government that will introduce what I call aboriginal democracy as a mechanism for the sustenance of our democracy and our unity as a corporate nation.
Yes. Well, before we get to your new innovation, this issue of aboriginal democracy, what are the facts? What discouraged you from actually giving another chance? I mean, trying again to see whether you will make it to the presidency.
I've often said that the presidential system of governance, Nigeria's second attempt at democratizing the elective process, has failed us woefully. It has become inimical to the Nigerian cause. It's a total distraction. It has polarized the polity. It has balkanized the Nigerian society. It has fractured the whole confederacy of the Nigerian Brotherhood. It has elevated corruption to an institution of Byzantine complexity and must of necessity be jettisoned from the boat of national progress. We cannot continue a system that is diametrically opposed to the yearnings and the aspirations of the Nigerian people. And that is why it became necessary for me to bring forth this system and create an innovation in the democratic space for the necessary change that will lead to our nation becoming what it's supposed to be.
And the recent statement you made, which actually took many people off guard, both in Nigeria and outside the country, is your call for interim government. Why interim government at this time?
Number one, that is the only medium through which we can rectify the problems. You see, an interim government is like a surgical theater where you correct the aberrations and the abnormalities that have plagued our nation as a democratic nation. I am simply saying that all the comforts we've had in the past did not amount to anything, because no extant government, no subsisting government can make the necessary change. And that is why we need an interim government as a forum that will bring all of our people together, that will create a rapprochement for all of our federating units to come together to decide, first and foremost, that our constitution is terminological inexactitude, because it's not a federal constitution. It was Nicodemously contrived, and then it was imposed upon the nation. So if we're going to have an interim government, that's the only forum, that is the only mechanism that will help us to address all of these aberrations and the agitation for secession and all of these things will cease once we can come together as a people and find that national connectivity that will make us do what we're supposed to do so that we can continue to stay together as a nation.
But Reverend, you know that interim government is not actually envisaged in the letters of the Nigerian Constitution. Don't you think any attempt to tilt towards that direction will be a recipe for truncating the democracy as a whole?
Not at all. You know, there's a principle in physics that is called solvitur ambulando. That means as you walk along, you will come to the solution. If you look at the checkered pavement of our political existence, you would know that we've come to a juncture that we must go beyond self-aggrandizement. We must go beyond partisanism. We must go beyond ethnicity and religiosity and come to a place where we recognize that we have a common destiny and that we can translate the paraphernalia of our diversity into the apparatus of national unity. And only an interim government can do that. It is true that there are no specific provisions within the Constitution that would engender that mechanism, but the Constitution was made by men. The Constitution was made for us. We were not made for the Constitution. And when we recognize that Nigeria is sitting on the cusp of a great crisis, then patriots at this time must come together and rewrite what is necessary and redact the Constitution so that we can have an interim government to save Nigeria. Because you must have a Nigeria before you can think about ruling in Nigeria.
Okay, but there is this allegation that you are actually canvassing for interim government because you've tried like 3 times to win the presidency without success, and maybe using the back door to now become the head of the interim government. Why do you think you are the best person in the event it becomes necessary to have it, not any other person?
You know, I'm quite amused. Like I said before, ordinarily I will not nobilitate such political infantility because it is very clear that you cannot win an election in any nation, including Nigeria, except that you are aligned with the dominant gargantuan political parties whose tentacles, you know, pervade the longitudes and the latitudes of our political spectrum. Why are the flag bearers desirous of becoming flag bearers for APC and PDP? Because they recognize that the party itself is what is going to give them the victory. People don't really vote for personalities, they vote for parties. So I do not subscribe to the view that I've lost any election. I say the political parties that I belong to lost the election because people don't vote for personalities. So I'm saying here, as a Nigerian who's concerned, that the right thing for us to do at this juncture is to find a place where we can have a solution. Now, all of these people who are saying, oh, well, you're trying to do this, I consider them men of low intellectual estates who do not understand that at this point in time we should be thinking nationalism, a pan-Nigerian philosophy that can save our nation. If I wanted a political career, I would have joined the PDP in 2003. At the time I ran for president, some of the names that are touted today had not even been conscious. The concept of leadership had not even registered in their political matrix. So if I was looking for that, I would have joined all of these parties and been at the hierarchy of things. But I'm a patriot, I'm a Nigerian, and I'm looking for that that would protect our common patrimony. And the time has come for us to do the needful, because we've never been at this kind of place. We're in a very, very precarious position today. And that's why I'm saying very clearly that we must have an interim government. And the reason why I'm asking to lead the interim government is because the concept of aboriginal democracy came from me. And you cannot convey that concept to somebody who does not understand it. Once you understand aboriginal democracy, then you'll understand why it is necessary that Okotie would head the interim government.
There are other options to interim government, because when you look at when General Babangida handed over to Chief Ernest Shonekan, he lasted for just few months because the letters of the Constitution do not make much provision to give the interim leader, you know, the powers to do the right things at the right time. And so before you know it, Abacha took over. So what is your take on this?
I believe that the circumstances are totally different. Completely different.
Okay, the circumstances are different?
Yes, and completely different. And Nigeria is at the verge at the verge of disintegration. The Nigeria of Shonekan's time is totally different from the Nigeria of today. At the time that Shonekan was head of state, we didn't have Boko Haram. We didn't have regional xenophobia like we have today. We didn't have the crisis of security where it has created the circumambience of trepidation in the hearts of Nigerians, where you can't even move from one local government to the next without exercising a measure of security, personal security. The concept of secession that we see today was not there at the time. The federalism that we're practicing had not shown itself to be faulty and as destructive as it is today. See, because time has been able to establish that what we have is a unitary system, not a federalism. Because federalism involves the manipulation of centrifugal and centripetal forces. So all of these things contribute to the fact that we must do something, and we must do it quick, really quick. Because the concept of, the phenomenon of secession that you are seeing all over the nation today, whether it's coming from the Yoruba or from the East, is all a part of the fact that people no longer feel a sense of belonging. And so we must have a rapprochement, a certain mechanism that will draw all of us together as Nigerians who have a common destiny, and we can find a meaningful solution to save our nation before we can talk about leadership.
Welcome. This is Daily Politics, and I am Hamza Idris. With me in the studio is Baba Uthman Ngazarma, the newly elected president of MACBAN. Welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we are aware of the intrigues that trailed the election of new leadership of Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. How tough was it, and how did you emerge?
It was a bit tough. But Alhamdulillah, I appreciate God for giving me victory.
Yeah.
At least whatever took place, we associated to the will of God. Yeah. But now we are victorious. We also associate this to the will of God. Alhamdulillah, we appreciate God for everything. And we hope this new leadership that has come on board now will be a source of peace for the entire pastoralists in the country. We hope God will help us bring to an end the challenges being faced by the Nigerian pastoralists in general. We hope I can use this medium to appreciate His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto for organizing a formidable team to take charge of the screening and the election, and Alhamdulillah, everything went well. And the lessons we have learned from the immediate past election is that from the measure taken on screening the candidates and the way the election was conducted, the signal sent to everyone that has won the election is no longer business as usual. So everybody has to tighten his belt to work for the betterment of the Nigerian pastoralists.
Yeah. How do you intend to carry, should I say, aggrieved members, even though it was a fair contest, who maybe were unable to get any of the slots? How do you intend to carry them along?
Mine is an open door policy. I will carry everybody along, not only those who have contested along with me, and not only those who have contested differences and did not win in the election. Everybody is welcome, including more especially our elites, who we think have a very important role to play in helping us bring an end to the challenges of the Nigerian pastoralists. So it's an open door policy. Our doors are open, my arms are open to embrace each and every person who is ready to come and contribute for the success of the association and for the betterment of the Nigerian pastoralists. So everybody is welcome anyway. We welcome everybody, welcome all constructive criticisms, they are all welcome. Everybody is welcome. Let's put our hands together and bring an end to the challenges that the pastoralists are facing in the country. The challenges are so enormous. It's more than the capacity of one association, not only one person, one association. In fact, we'll work with all the other pastoralist associations. We have to put our heads together if we are working for the pastoralists.
Yes, I really have many questions in respect to that, because it's not only McBain, there are many others. But the mere mention of Hada, or let me be specific, Fulani, it elicits, suspicion across the country. Why? Why the profiling?
Well, we attribute this aspect of profiling to the attitude of some media houses, and to some extent, and the attitude of some politicians. Politicians today sometimes use religion to get what they want, and sometimes they use their ethnicity, tribalism, to get what they want. So this is the game anyway. So the negative profiling, we believe to some extent, is deliberate. Some people out there are trying to prepare the Nigerian Fulanis for genocide. That is why they embarked on the negative profiling and sustained it until now, when almost everybody thinks negatively against the pastoralists. Even if a person divorces his wife in the southern part of the country, it is normally attributed to the pastoralists. But thank God, a lot of criminals who are being caught, and for the security to realize they are not mostly Fulanis. We always agree we have our fair share of criminals.
Yes, because you see sometimes maybe in Ondo, or in Oyo, or in Benue, or in Kaduna, after certain criminality, was carried out, you now see victims, the suspects, coming from different tribes. But at the point the event happened, you see the headlines, okay, Fulani Hadas storms also village, and this. How do you receive this, and why do you think it is happening? Is it a deliberate attempt to actually target your people?
It's a deliberate attempt to target our people. But that is the beauty of truth, justice. You can only hide it for a while, but it will show itself. The facts are beginning to come out clearly for everybody to know that not only the pastoralists, not only the Fulani youths are involved in this criminality. Is everybody, every ethnicity, every tribe is involved. So profiling or attributing it totally to the pastoralists is a clear injustice. And the facts are beginning to come out clearly for everybody to see now. That most of the times when investigations are conducted, you discover those caught are not actually Fulanis, but they dress in the attire of Fulanis, because the Fulanis have been profiled negatively. So everybody thinks whatever happens is being perpetrated by a Fulani man. So if you mention the name of a Fulani man as a criminal, it's easy for everybody to say, okay, yes, these guys are criminals as we know. But the facts are beginning to come out for everybody to see now. Arrests were made in so many areas of the Federation. The facts come out to be that those perpetrators are not Fulanis.
So, but there are some of them. So I want to ask this question, Baba. At what point did the Fulani young man, who is known to be carrying stick, herding cow, at what point did he had connection with some of this crime and criminalities? Because everything has beginning. Is it that he was also attacked, or he was a victim, or he realized that maybe banditry and all that is the way to go, more than maybe tending to a cow for 5 years, selling it to realize profit and other economic gains?
Education and poverty, lack of education and poverty, that is ignorance, if I can put it this way, and poverty are two things that can make a person to become anything. The pastoralist youth were not given the opportunity to be educated because of the nature of their trade and because of the neglect and that society has suffered over the years, because it is a neglected society for decades. These are people who are doing their legitimate things, rearing the cow, roaming while looking for free pasture for their herds, because this is the only thing they know. This is what they saw their forefathers do, and because there was no attempt by the first administrations to transform, to modernize their trade. So they only practice what they only know as a source of livelihood and a way of life. So while as they are doing that, the nature of the business did not give them the opportunity to settle in one place and be educated. So they are always on the move. They are always on the move looking for where their cows will get pasture to eat or where their cows can get water to drink. That is what is pushing them to the southern part of the country, because all the grazing reserves we have in the north are becoming bare, no grass, no water. So they gradually move from one area to the other looking for water and pasture for their herds. So this makes them become illiterate because the opportunity for them to be educated was not there. And secondly, with the emergence of cattle rustling, it started in a small scale to a larger scale, to a bigger scale, to an industrial scale, to the extent that thousands of cows are today missing without trace.
Thousands? You have some figures, thousands?
Yes, I can give you one example in one community in Niger State, in Kafin Koro, early this year. In a single day, 1,720 cows were restills.
1,720 in one incident?
Cows were restills in one incident from a lot of pastoralist families. So just imagine how many families will be affected by that. And that is their only source of livelihood.
Was it reported?
It was reported.
Was there compensation?
None.
Have your members been compensated?
The pastoralists, the Nigerian pastoralists has never enjoyed any form of compensation right from the onset of insurgency in the northeast, where they became...
This was around 2000. Okay, let me get it clear. You know, governments over time, let's start from 1999. If you talk about bird flu, you know, farmers who, you know, had poultry and lost it to bird flu.
They were being adequately compensated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also have farmers who lost their grains.
They are being adequately compensated, maybe because they are sedentary.
Okay, what is the problem with yours? You allude that there was nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Let's begin from the northeast, where the insurgency took place some years back. Okay. The pastoralists remain the typical victims of that crisis, because at the time the insurgents are using the pastoralist cows as their only source of money, until when they finish the entire cows in the north, is that they started looting communities. So
abducting people.
A lot of pastoralists were rendered poor as a result of that insurgency in the northeast. And with the coming up of banditry in the northwest, one can imagine how many pastoralist families were being affected by that. And in all this that is taking place, there has never been a time, to my notice, when compensation are being paid to the pastoralists. That is part of the frustration.